Hello, welcome back to Daddy Nadon. After a couple of weeks break, we're back for another live show, talking all things football. I do have some guests in the backstage, and if you want to come on the show to talk about your team, all things, whatever team you support, please come on. We will be talking to each member, each guest about their previous game and their upcoming game. If you are interested, there is the link in the chat. Click on that and jump on. That would be much appreciated. So we're going to crack on now. I'll bring my first guest on. I'll bring them all on. But first guest, please welcome Luke. He's back after a few weeks off. Hello, Luke. You all right, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks.
What do you mean by that chat? I didn't. Good end.
Well, it's a bit of a balls up, wasn't it?
How?
It was a bit of a stumble. I thought I was listening to Joe Biden talk.
Oh yeah, well I thought he's my hero. He's my hero. Thanks for coming on. We'll talk Tottenham first because I know you can't stay for the whole show, but I'll bring my next guest on. Coming back for his second live appearance, it's Ollie. Hello, Ollie, mate. Can't hear you.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah. Can you hear now? No, we can't hear you, Ollie. You need to sort your audio out, mate. Why you? No, still can't hear you. While you sort that out, I'll bring on.
Hello?
My next guest, Oris. Hello, mate.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, are you right, Oris? All good?
Yeah.
Ollie, can we hear you now?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. How are you, right?
Great. Yeah, all right.
Okay. As I've said, thanks for all coming back on. If anyone's interested, jumping on, who's watching now, there is the link for the show. Please jump on, talk all things about your team. One comment already, it's my brother, he can fuck off. Daddy Free Don Neil. He means that because Phil is a Palace fan and obviously I support Arsenal. We do have someone else backstage. Oh, making his debut for the show. Hello, Carl, mate, you all right?
Evening, gentlemen. Yeah, not bad. Cheers for having me on.
All right, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. We will get to Arsenal shortly. We're going to talk all things Tottenham first because Luke can't stay on for long. So I know this is a great Luke. Luke, I'll start with you then. Your reaction on the 5-1 victory against Newcastle, and how do you look at your hopes for top four now? Do you think it's more likely than it was a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, I think it's still all up for grabs. At the minute, I think it's probably a head-to-head between Spurs and Arsenal for that top four. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Chelsea. At the minute, obviously, they seem to be dropping like a stone, and I don't think they're safe, at least in third. So third might even be up for grabs depending on how things go for them. The 5-1, it was a great performance. Sloppy goals conceded. Hugo Lloris would be disappointed with that. Never really should have got him, but I don't know whether he saw it late or it was just one of those things. But we came back strong, equalised obviously before the break, and then went to town in the second half. Fantastic performance. It's good to see the new players getting game time and really becoming stalwarts of the team. I thought Kane was brilliant again, pulling the strings. He was unlucky that he didn't actually come away with a goal. But and it was good to see the wing-backs getting involved. Both wing-backs scored and Doherty with an assist as well, playing on the left. So with Reguilon and Sessegnon out at the minute, it's good to see him being able to play in the Conte system and be useful on the left.
The Swedish lad, is it Clever Kleski, the one you got from Juventus? He's been quite a signing so far, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been fantastic. He's sort of struggled in Juventus a little bit. I think he had a strong start at Juventus, but seemed to struggle a bit under Allegri. But I think many players have struggled under Allegri. I don't know that he's necessarily the coach he's made out to be at times, but he'd had some good spells at Atlanta. I think Conte knew him well. Paratici knew him well. Obviously, Paratici signed him at Juventus, so they had a good understanding of him and his mentality. He's loved at the club. He loves the club from what we've been hearing. And it's fantastic to see, and it's fantastic to see him thriving. And, don't forget the fact that he's only 21, which is a massive factor as well.
Going into the next game, Villa away. On paper, it looks difficult, but they're very, very much a Jekyll and Hyde side at the moment. How confident are you that you can get 3 points in this game?
With the way we've been playing at the minute, I think we have a very good opportunity to. We play better football than Villa. So Villa are very hit and miss. They're either there or they're not. There's no sort of in between. They don't really manage to grind out results, which I think has been a little bit of a bit to their detriment this season. I think that's something they need to find, is just grinding out certain results, which is key. But I think with the way we've been playing at the minute, obviously we went through the rough patch of win-loss, which wasn't great to see. But we seem to be finding some level of stability. Conte's highlighted the fact that our 8 remaining games are all cup finals, so they're all must win. Essentially, I think there's going to be a slip up here and there, but I think that's going to happen. That's going to happen amongst the teams fighting for the top. So, yeah, I think we're in the best possible position. Unfortunately, say we've got a couple of injuries, but we know that Doherty can fill in. Obviously, Bentancur's come in and playing nicely alongside Højbjerg to break those passing lines, and Bentancur to just thread the balls through. And with Kane dropping deeper and the 2 wingers coming in, there's so much variability in the attack that it leaves the defence sometimes unaware and struggling.
Carl, I'll go to you. How worried are you now that Tottenham could catch us?
Extremely worried. The defeat that we had to Palace, that was a wake-up call. And to see Tottenham right now, they have picked up more points than any other team, excluding Liverpool and City, since Conte has taken charge. There's us all thinking that Conte coming in was probably not the best manager to take over Tottenham, which are just in a disorganised chaos at the time, has actually rounded together the team really, really well and has constructed a good system in place for them. Right now, Tottenham, they should be feeling quite proud of themselves because now they're in a very, very good position now to challenge for the top 4. They still have got the North London derby to contend with. They've still got to go to Liverpool as well. So they're not exactly over the hill just yet. They've still got that, but they've got some tough out, but they are proving to be a stubborn opponent, shall we say.
Ollie, I'll go to you.
Just to add on to that quickly. I think that's something that's been lacking for a long time. Obviously, the word Spursy has been thrown around once or twice. That's something that's been installed. That the fact that we've gone from a team that would concede the most goals after leading, after being in the league, we would concede the most goals. We've now flipped that, and we're the team that scores the most goals after going down. So and also the most goals in the last, I don't know if it's the last 10 minutes or certainly after the last 90 minutes this season anyway. So I think there is a change in mentality and there's a belief that even if you're 1-0 down after or 2-0 down after, no, so what was it, 2-1 down after 90 minutes, there's still a belief there that you can go and grab the game and win it. So I think there's a big mentality change, which I think is the main thing. It wasn't necessarily a quality issue. Obviously, we're lacking depth, but I think it was a mentality issue, and that's something that seems to have changed, which is good to see as a Spurs fan.
Yeah, good. Ollie, we will talk Arsenal to you and to Carl a bit later on, but just about Spurs, very similar question to Carl. Are you worried now that they can catch us? Well, they're in front, but do you reckon that they can finish above us?
Maybe, yeah. But we've still got the game in hand, and I think we might. I don't know. I think I'm still confident for top 4.
But is it worrying the performance against Palace and how Tottenham are now starting to click, is there? I know you were very confident a few weeks ago. I think most Arsenal fans were. There must be that doubt in your mind. Even someone who's very confident, there must be that doubt now.
Yeah, a bit of doubt. Yeah.
How vital is going to be the North London North London derby? How vital is that going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be vital. I think whoever wins that's going to get top 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Luke, anything else you want to add before we go for prediction?
I would just say, with the top 4 race, although they're looking terrible at the minute, you still can't count out United. I think they have. Yeah. That's all I was going to say. I just don't think they're out of the race. I think it's going to be very difficult for them, and that would obviously be a case of dropping points with Arsenal and Tottenham. But you never, when it's United, you just never know.
Yeah, and we will get to Oris about that. I'll just go through just a prediction with everyone. I'll start with you, Oris. Regarding Tottenham Villa, obviously Villa at home. What do you think the score will be?
I think it will be Tottenham 3-1.
Carl, for a Villa winning.
2-1. I don't think Tottenham's defensively were better than when we went to Villa, but I think going up front they are lethal. But I'm going to say 2-1 Spurs.
Ollie,
I'll go 2-1 Spurs. Yeah, I think 2-1.
I think Tottenham will win, but I'm just going to go 1-1, just because one Arsenal fan's got to say it. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham won. And Luke, what do you think the score will be, mate?
I agree with Carl. No, I think we will leak a goal. But I think we'll have too much going forward, and I can see a 3-1 Tottenham.
Cool. Before you go, Luke, I know you can't stay on longer. Again, I know we haven't got a Man City or Liverpool fan here, but this game was too big not to talk about. So before you go, I just want to get a quick word from everyone in a prediction for this game. I'll start with you, Oris. Man City, Liverpool, how massive is it? Is this the decider, and who do you think's going to come out on top?
This is the massive game for me. This game decides who wins the league for me. If I'm being honest, so it's going to be a massive game. My score predictions, I think it's going to be a draw, 1-1 for me. I think it's going to be a draw.
And who do you think will win the league then? Will it still be City then? Because you think they both could win out?
I think City will win
it. Carl, what do you reckon? Do you think this game's going to deliver the expectation, and who do you think is going to come out on top?
This has got all the expectations probably to be one of the best games we've seen probably in the last decade, and it also has the same expectations to be as flat as a pancake. It's one of those games where it's like it looks brilliant on paper, but then it could be absolutely dog shit for 90 minutes. So I'm going to go 1-0 City.
Ollie, what do you reckon for this game, and who do you think is going to come out on top?
I agree with the rest. I think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be 2-2 maybe.
Luke, finally, mate, I know you got to go, but this game, how big is it? Is it going to decide the title, and who wins it?
I don't know that it decides the title necessarily. I think looking at it on paper, Liverpool have a tougher run in the games. So I think this is a must win for Liverpool. I think if Liverpool loses, then 100% City's won the league. But I think even if Liverpool were to get a result, if they get the 3 points, I don't think it's necessarily set in stone that they will win the league. I think it just puts them in a better position and keeps them in the race. I can see it going either way, but I'll go for a Liverpool 1-0 win, and it will keep the title race interesting.
Good. Thank you, Luke. You go whenever you need to go, mate. And I appreciate you coming on as always, buddy.
Yeah, I've got another 15 minutes in me.
Okay, all right. Well, if that's the case, I was going to go United, but I'll go to Arsenal now, as it's relevant. Ollie, sum up that performance against Palace.
It was great. Oh, sorry, you weren't asking me.
Yeah, dreadful. I don't know. Really bad.
What happened to your main man?
Hang on, is this a call-in show?
Come on, man. What happened to your main man, Odegaard? Come on.
Yeah, go on. Ollie, come on. You've got to give us more than that. What do you think about it? Before I go to Carl.
Oh, I don't know.
It was that bad? You're lost for words. Carl, why was it so bad, Carl?
Worst performance I've seen of this team since January. When before the international break, we're going on this big run and we're actually playing with some really, really, really good football. We're challenging top four. Everything looked all nice and rosy. Come off the international break and then we go lay an egg like that. That is just appalling. Absolutely appalling. It doesn't help matters that Kieran Tierney is now done for the rest of the season, which is a huge loss for us. And Thomas Partey is now out for 3 weeks. I'll say this now. Xhaka is only good when Thomas Partey is alongside him. When he's got anybody else, he's about as efficient as a chocolate fireguard. He is terrible. It was just an appalling game from us. But as far as Crystal Palace were concerned, they deserved the 3 points hands down. They absolutely battered the living crap out of us. And Patrick Vieira got one over on his old club.
It was just an absolute dreadful performance. You can tell within the first 15 minutes. I tell you what, if we could have kept the clean sheet in that first maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, we probably could have won the game. It was just we started so badly. We didn't keep a clean sheet, obviously, and in the end, that was a downfall. You know, I think if we could have kept the clean sheet, we would have come into the game. It was just some of the performances in that first half were just absolutely dreadful. It wasn't like anyone was over a 1 or 2. Everyone was absolutely appalling. We could have lost that by much more. We could have lost that 4 or 5 if we were 3-0 in the end.
It was an embarrassing display. That's why they got to buck their ideas up and get the result that we need against Brighton tomorrow afternoon.
And we'll get to that. I'm obviously going to ask these two smiley little mugs. Look at them both. They love loving it. I'll start with you. Yeah, look at him. Boris, how much did you enjoy that as a United fan?
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. But to be fair, massive credit go to Patrick Vieira, man. He's been doing a massive job for Crystal Palace. So fair play to Vieira. But it's what it is. For me, I've always said, can Arsenal be consistent every game for you guys to get top 4? I've always said this about Arsenal, but we'll see what happens in the Graham Derby tomorrow. So,
yeah.
I don't think it's so much.
I look like Graham Potter, so yeah, that's why they call it the Graham Derby.
I don't think it's so much as that. Can we get a string of fixtures together and actually keep on winning? We actually managed to do that. The biggest question mark that we had, as soon as we run into injuries, have we got the depth to try and override that? So our backup is Nuno Tavares. Brilliant going forward, but can't defend at all. And then you look at the likes of Sammy Lokonga. He played at the start, early on at the start of the season for Thomas Partey. Wasn't ready. As soon as Partey came in, that was it. He was on the bench and all was forgotten. Now we have got injuries. It's just a case of, can this team actually come together and actually keep moving forward? Because Partey is just he is the cornerstone of that midfield for us. And Kieran Tierney is pretty much captain even without the armband. Two big faces that we've lost for the rest of the season, unfortunately.
I think we need to really, Go on, Carl,
and also for Scotland, and also for Scotland as well, for Tierney, for Scotland as well. For them to get to the World Cup, they've now lost their talisman.
So Luke, go on then. How much did you enjoy that?
I did enjoy it very much. I mean, I wasn't surprised that Palace got a result because I could, going into the game, I could see them coming away with something, but I wasn't expecting it to be in the fashion that was presented. The way that Arsenal played was horrendous. Tavares was absolutely atrocious. He was given the run around the whole game. That was clearly the weak side. I enjoyed watching it. I think it wasn't so much the result as the performance I was more enjoying, because when you put in a performance like that, sometimes it shows either a mentality issue or a drop in form, or it provides me hope going forward. If you put in a good performance and you came away with, they nicked a 1-0 win, that's a very different scenario to what we saw. So it's all about the next game. It's all about the bounce back. If you can get a good performance coming back, that shows a mentality, especially with the fact that you have got the game in hand. If you put in a strong showing, then I don't think that there's too much to worry about. But until then, we'll have to wait and see what happens at the weekend. But if you put in a good performance, then I think it's all a case of sort of steadying the ship.
Carl, I'll go back to you. How important is this for us to win this game against Brighton? I know I'm not going to say must win, but we need a performance as well as a result, surely.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It is a must win. I concur. I defer. I think it is it's a must win game for us now. You look at the situation we've put ourselves in. You look at this at the start of the season. We weren't expecting to challenge for the top four. We're expecting us to get back into Europe at least. But the fact we're now challenging for top four, we now have to carry on with that momentum. This game against Brighton now is absolutely huge. Regardless what fuck Tottenham, whatever the result is against Tottenham, we have to do our own job. We have to do our job against Brighton.
Yeah,
it's as simple as.
Marvin, welcome back onto the show, Marvin. You right?
Yeah, pleasure to be here.
Good. I know he's got a Brentford shirt on, but I know he follows Arsenal as well. Just ask you about the result against Palace. How embarrassing was that from Arsenal?
Extremely embarrassing. But all credit to Palace and Patrick Vieira, I would say. Credit where credit is due. He has done a good job this year. But in terms of Arsenal, I would say a couple of weeks ago, I was confident we'll get top four, but with a performance like that, I think Tottenham are gonna nick it from us.
Yeah, I've got that worry. I've got that worry as well. I'm not saying that they will nick it because Luke's going to smirk for the rest of his appearance on the show. I asked Carl. I asked you the same.
So I'm just glad. I'm just glad that there's no such thing as St. Totteringham's Day anymore.
Don't worry, they're still Spursy. I'm sure that'll come back.
I'm sure it'll be written on a cave somewhere.
Marvin, massive game against Brighton. Do you think we'll bounce back?
Well, I think Partey is going to be a big miss, but Brighton, they're kind of on and off. So I believe we will bounce back. I do believe we'll bounce back. I'm thinking a 2-0 victory against Brighton, and then hopefully we can kick on from there until the end of the season.
I'll ask both. I'll ask everyone here, and anyone can answer. How vital is? It was very obvious we missed Martinelli. He didn't start, but obviously he's going to start. How vital is that young lad become for Arsenal, Martinelli?
He's been influential. He's been very influential in that front. A kid on the rise massively. Not just for club, but for country as well. He's already turning heads for Brazil already. We've got ourselves a stud. We've got ourselves an absolute stud.
Yeah, I think I said it before. I said it before in terms of, when you look at Arsenal with the youngsters that they've got, it's a case of building around them. If you need to keep them for the future, they can only get better. And if you handle them in the right way and you add in players that's only going to bring out the best in them, then the future's bright. But it just needs to be handled in the right way. And I think you need to sort of manage expectations a little bit and make sure that there's not too much pressure put on them. Because we saw what happened to Saka in the Euro finals. Yeah,
exactly. And I don't think, obviously, Oris, I know you look like Martinelli, and I know you're a big fan of him. I know you've been very impressive with me.
All right, Graham Potter.
You put him in his team. You put in the team of the year. Why is he so special? And this is coming from a United fan. Why is this young lad so special?
Even from a United fan, I love watching Martinelli, man. On the ball, he's brilliant. On the ball, man. Honestly, he's up and coming talent and stuff for Arsenal. And for me, the fact that we released him in the academy just shows. When I saw that we released him, I was just depressed now because this guy had talent and the potential to be at United. But obviously he's at Arsenal, but for me, he's just an incredible talent. I had to pick him my team of the year. For me, he's just been superb for Arsenal. For me, superb.
Anything you want to add, Marvin? Big fan of him?
Who? Martinelli?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, huge fan of Martinelli. one of the first two names on the team sheet every week for me. Like the future's bright for him and Arsenal, hopefully, without Arteta.
How do you put that in there? All right, so we'll go to predictions time. I'll start with. I don't know where Ollie's gone. He's disappeared. So unless he comes back, I'll just leave him be. Luke, obviously, let's be nice. We said you'll win. I'll start with Ollie. Hello, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I went for dinner.
So how confident you are against Brighton? Do you think we can get a bounce back win?
Yeah, I'm hoping for a bounce back win. Yeah, hopefully.
And who's going to be that? Is all the guys going to show up now? Your boyfriend?
Shut up. I don't know. I think he'll be better in this game. Hopefully, he'll get a goal.
All right, I'll go score predictions. Luke, start with you, mate. What do you think the score will be?
Well, obviously, Brighton are a fantastic team with a fantastic manager.
Fuck off.
So,
Fuck off.
Shut up. Shut up.
He's a wanker.
He's an ugly fucker as well.
Yeah, that's why I don't look like him.
No, I think say it's a difficult one. It's a home game. I would expect to see a real sort of gung ho performance from Arsenal. I would expect more of a sort of possession game, and just I would expect to see them dominate. So I think it's going to be a win for Arsenal. I don't know if it's going to be a massive win. I think that Brighton keep their shape quite well. I think they're well drilled. So I think it might just be a 1-0 Arsenal.
Ollie, what do you think the score will be?
2-0 Arsenal, I think. Yeah.
Who's getting the goals?
Lacazette and Odegaard.
Oris, what's the score, mate?
0-0.
Oh, shut up. You're having a laugh, not 0-0.
He is a United fan. Leave him some slack. Marvin, I'll go to you next. What do you think the score will be, mate?
2-0. Odegaard brace.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah. He's smiling in the corner now. He might have to go off camera for a minute. And Carl, finally with you, mate. What do you think the score will be?
Very surprised everyone has said that we will keep a clean sheet. I don't agree with that at all, but I will say 3-1 Arsenal. We'll bounce back, but we will leak a goal.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. 3-1. I think we might even go behind, but we'll come back and win the game. But I think we will get the bounce back game we need. I think obviously Palace was awful. We learn from that. We move on, and we need to keep Tottenham at bay. Let's hope Tottenham don't win, but I think we're both going to win this weekend personally. Even though I said 1-1, and he said that just to be a wanker. We've all talked Chelsea and Brentford, Marvin, don't worry, but we're going to go to Oris now. Obviously, talking about Man United's next upcoming game. But before we get there, 1-1 against Leicester. Very lucky to get that 1-1. What was your thoughts on the game?
We should have lost. To be fair, we should have lost. We got lucky with VAR. Maguire being Maguire as always, but for me, it was a bad performance really. If you look at it, we didn't really deserve the goal. To be fair, we did not deserve the goal. It was a lucky goal from us, but it's what it is. I'm not surprised because I was expecting this. Players don't really care about top four. To be honest, I think they just want to end the season, and to be honest, they don't care because they're on high wage. So why should they care about United? So I'm not surprised. So, yeah.
So you're basically saying that they've checked out. The Man United have checked out. Is that what you're saying?
Of course,
Jeez,
of course.
fucking hell.
I don't know if you saw during the international break, Paul Pogba came out and said, "Oh, we don't care about top four." He generally said, "Oh, we're gonna finish. We haven't won anything, and we're just gonna see out the season." That's what he said with his mouth. So, yeah.
Ten Hag. It looks like he's coming in. How excited are you about that? I know you wanted him in. Do you think he'll be the man for the job, Forrest?
I'm happy with this. I'm happy. It shows the club is doing something good. I thought the club would go for Pochettino, but they proved me wrong. Ten Hag. For me, United fans, they have to be patient for me. It's going to take time. Let him bring his own players. Club, they have to back him. But that's my worry. I don't think the club really has to back him because if Ten Hag does bad, then we're screwed. So Ten Hag, he needs time. And I think this is the right appointment for United. Hopefully, Ten Hag can bring his own staffs. And yeah, I'm excited for this appointment.
What's your preference between the two?
It's Ten Hag.
Yeah, I'm Ten Hag.
Yeah, it's got to be Ten Hag. I think Pochettino he's overrated for what he achieved at Tottenham.
100%.
And that's coming from a Spurs fan.
And the ex-United players that were back at Pochettino, mate. Gary Neville, yeah, please just stop talking about Man United. I hate Gary, like ex-players. Rooney, yeah. I'm not going to get on to Rooney, but I have to. I love him as a club legend, but even Rooney said he would go all out for Poch. I mean, I don't understand all these ex-United players that want Pochettino, man. They're just backing the managers.
I think I have a theory into why Rooney turned around and said that, because ex-players would rather have someone that they can bring in so that the players can control, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. When Ten Hag comes in, it may be a manager the players don't want in, but it's going to sort of change how the way you develop now, because at this minute in time, you are sitting in a bit of a real precarious situation. You pardon the pun here, but the Wolves are now at Man United's door, i.e. Wolverhampton Wanderers are only 2 points behind you, even with your game in hand, but that's on the road against Liverpool. Can you see get anything out of that? Very, very unlikely. So there's a case of now, if you do end up falling out of the European spots completely, that's going to be a mass exodus from the club of a certain amount of players. Probably likes of Pogba will go, Ronaldo possibly, but he's been your overall leader in that team. Maguire's meant to be, but he's not captain material.
Yeah,
I think another thing about, especially saying about Gary Neville, when talking about the identity of the club. What identity? You're not talking about the identity of the club. You're talking about the history of the club. You know that the club is what it is. It's not playing the Manchester United way. They haven't been the same team for a long time now, and it's important to understand that. You know, you need to understand that you aren't the force that you once were. You need to rebuild. You need to do all these things. And yeah, when I hear about identity of the club, that's just, you're just living in the past. You're just ex-players reliving former glories. You're just saying that we were this good. Now it's not as good, but we're not there.
Yeah. You said the word rebuild, and I know Carl will understand this because he watches NFL like me. But in American football, when teams are not at the right spot and when they need to go again and build for the future, they could do a rebuild. I know that's basically rain on money and all that. That's what Man United need. They need a rebuild. They need to bring in youngsters. They need a new team in. Like I said, if it is Ten Hag, the one positive is he will bring a few players from Ajax in. I know that for sure, and they have some good players. But for me, it's going to be very similar to Arsenal. It's going to be a few years until they're anywhere near where they want to be.
That may be the case, but Man United's philosophy has always been big money signings, big names. Yeah. That's what they've always gone for. There's just one problem with that. That was when they had Sir Alex Ferguson, probably the greatest manager we've ever seen play football. They don't have that allure anymore. They can't do that anymore. The times of football has completely rolled on past them. And you know what the definition of insanity is: trying to do the same things over and over again, expecting different results. And it's just becoming the same problem for United. They do need to completely reset. I think if they get into Europe, that'll probably be the worst thing that could probably happen to them, because it feels like they can still be competitive. If they drop out of Europe, then they can say, okay, now we have to restart, build it up from scratch. We're going to start a new era of Manchester United football, because the old era, unfortunately, it doesn't come up against the big boys anymore. It just can't.
I think to some extent they were architects of their own downfall. Because if you look at Ferguson's last season, he won the league with a team that had no business winning the Premier League.
Yeah,
the players there were not good enough, and then there was an expectation then put on Moyes to do what Ferguson did without being given the time that Ferguson was given and
all the money.
Exactly. So I think to that extent they have been architects of their own downfall. And then you look at now where you've got players like Pogba that's out of contract in the summer. And you don't know what's going on with him. You're not even going to make any money off him leaving if he does decide to leave. I think I think Woodward did a good job in terms of signing players, but at the minute, the way the club is run doesn't seem to be. It doesn't seem to be very well run at all.
The Glazers don't care. It's a bit like Stan Kroenke for us. He doesn't care. It's it's all about making money and making a profit.
You can't rather than
trying to win trophies and build. You're supposed to build a connection between the owners, the team, and the fan base. And now, there are so many teams in the Premier League right now that don't have that connection to the fan base and to the owners.
You can't let a prized asset leave your business for no money whatsoever. It's just ludicrous. It's just, it's anti-business.
Only Arsenal do that.
Although we like to talk about football as a sport, at the same time, it is a business. We do need to understand that aspect of it. It's become a business element, and maybe we've taken it too far in terms of Levy treating it as a business. But there are those aspects that you need to look at.
Oris, upcoming game against Everton away. This surely has to be a performance and a result. Surely,
100%. It has to be 3 points. No excuses whatsoever. We just have to dominate. Like I watched Brandon's press conference today. He said we have to play well. The mentality of the players have to be good. So for me, we have to win 3 points. No excuses. Just get the job done. For me, we have to beat Everton. Everton are they're just crap, man. Lampard, I don't know what's it up with him. What we have to win.
And it's not just the result. It needs to be a performance as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't expect
Marvin. Man United. What's your thoughts on them at the moment? Are you surprised where they are?
No, I'm not surprised. I think Carl said it. Like they're architects of their own downfall. Like the worst thing that happened to Man United was them qualifying for the Champions League. Because I think if they didn't qualify for the Champions League, then they'll be like, okay, you know what, something's not working here. They qualified for the Champions League. They bought what? How old was Ronaldo? What, 36, 37?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And then before the season even started, oh yeah, we're gonna win the league. We're gonna win the league. We got Ronaldo. Like, where are you now? Like, once Ronaldo goes, who have they got? Like, what players have they got to come in to replace? Like, they need to rebuild. And
that's something they could have done. They could have done that with Pogba. They could have sold Pogba if they knew. If you offer him a contract, if he doesn't go for it, you sell him, get some money for him, and then you put that into someone else.
Yeah,
who wants to be there.
But then they go and do the ludicrous thing of signing Bruno Fernandes to a 5-year extension when he's had one good year of production.
Yeah, and a lot of them goes with penalties. Let's not forget that.
I tried not to look at the penalty situation.
It's all about
stats. He's a good footballer. It's the game. It's all about stats. It's all about XG. It's all about this, that, the other. No one watches the actual game and sees how people play.
Everyone looks at the box score. They don't look at. No, I think Bruno Fernandes is a very good player. I think on his day, he can be one of the best midfielders you see. Unfortunately, he acts like a passive-aggressive twat in most games that we've seen this season. So
he's like Suarez, but just like he's got
the biting.
Ollie,
do
you think? Are you worried about Man United anywhere near us?
No, I'm not worried.
At the moment?
I'm not worried.
Of course, you're going to say no, yeah.
Are you, anything you want to add on Man United before we go to the score predictions?
No.
No, you're just quiet. Very quiet today.
Yeah, I'm very quiet. I don't know why.
I just add to what I said earlier about them. About them not being out of the race for top 4. Whether that's just me from history, just being wary of United grabbing results from nowhere. They seem to still do that this season. I don't think they've had necessarily a great performance all season, but they have come away with results, and that's the thing that worries me about United is sometimes they still just grab results out of nowhere.
Yeah, and they can do that. Horace, how confident are you of Man United challenging for the title in the next 5 years? Seriously. Do you think that's an opportunity, or is it now a case of maybe 10 years? Seriously.
For me, it's going to take time. We just need to back 10 on for me. But title, I think that's going to be too far. But it's going to take some time. But probably say 6 years or 7 years time.
Fair enough. That's fair play to you. Ollie would say 1 year for Arsenal, so fair play to you. Score prediction. Yeah, he thinks we're still winning. I'm joking. I'll start with score prediction for this game. I'll start with you, Marvin. Man United away at Everton. With your Brentford hat on here, pretty certain you're going to say a Man United win here, surely.
No, yeah, I am going to say Man United win because Everton, like, I think if Man United were playing anyone else in the bottom three, like, they win. But Everton they're just awful. And Frank Lampard, I don't know how he got the job as the Everton manager, but I'm saying 2-1 United win.
Carl, what's your score prediction? Anything you want to say about Everton?
Everton are a fucking mess. They obviously lost 3-2 to Burnley, which was pretty much a 6-pointer on Wednesday. The fact it was 2-2 with about 17 minutes to go, they took Anthony Gordon off and put Demarai Gray on. You're in a relegation scrap. You put Demarai Gray on with Anthony Gordon. What the fuck is Lampard even doing?
Yeah,
he's been their best player this season.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. That is very, very true. But the team is just terrible. The team's just utter terrible. They've got their defense is about as rigid as a week-old salad, and once again, Jordan Pickford defecated in front of his own goal. So I don't know where Everton go through this. Here's the thing where everyone forgets. If you look at their running, it looks ludicrously difficult.
Yeah.
But yet, for some reason, there's always 1 or 2 games where they can nick maybe a point or a win off. So, but regarding of this game, I expect Man United to keep a clean sheet and tonk the living hell out of them by at least 3 goals. Anything less than that is an embarrassment, is a disappointment.
Luke, what's your prediction for this one, mate?
Everton are abysmal. They're absolutely abysmal. I can't see anything but a United win, and if United come away with anything other than a win, they should be bitterly disappointed. Because although they've not been great this season, this is I think for any team in the league, this is a game you expect to win at the moment. Yeah. So I don't know there'll be many goals in it. I think that I could maybe see United getting 2, so I'll go for a 2-0 United.
Ollie, what's your score prediction, mate?
I was a bit annoyed with the rest is 0-0 Arsenal, so I'm going to go 2-1 Everton. No, I'm joking. 2-0 Man United. Yeah, 2-0 Man United.
Oris, finally, what do you think the score will be?
I think it'll be 3-0 United.
United all day long, all the shit managers over the years, and we'll be Frank that finally takes them down. Okay. Marvin, we did actually already talk about Liverpool, Man City, Liverpool. So just briefly, I'll just ask you, because I know you're interested in the title race. What do you think the score will be for this game, Man City, Liverpool?
Well, I think this has all the potential to be the game of the season. And I believe Man City will just nick it 1-0. I feel like it will be kind of like a basketball game, like going back and forth in attack. But I think Man City are nicking it 1-0. And yeah, they're going to march on towards another title again, unfortunately. But yeah.
It is what it is. I can see that as well. Finally, we're going to talk about Chelsea versus Brentford from the other day. And then obviously Marvin's Marvin's an Arsenal and a Brentford fan now, by the way, people. He supports
Arsenal.
Yeah. So we'll go to you, Marvin. What a result against Chelsea. It's always good to win against a rival, but to win like that, that's possibly Brentford's best ever result.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I found Tuchel's comments after the game quite disrespectful, because for 180 minutes of football this season, we absolutely battered Chelsea. They beat us at home 1-0. Mendy had an unreal game. And then to win 4-1 at Stamford Bridge, it had the makings of the same. They scored an unreal goal. Hats off to Rudiger for that one. But Chelsea were never in the game. They were never there. Who was Conte? no one knew who he was. And Brian Mbeumo, what a game he had and what a player he is. Because he had the Chelsea defense he was running rings in the Chelsea defense, basically.
He had him on toast.
Yeah.
But has anyone else got anything to say about that game in particular?
Apart from the fact it was a shock scoreline, probably the most scoreline we've seen this season. I honestly wasn't expecting Brentford to get anything out of that game, but there is not turning up, and then there is just playing like absolute dog shit, and that's the worst I've ever seen Chelsea play. Although then I did see what they did against Real Madrid Wednesday, so I can't really say much.
Yeah.
I think it's just worth asking the question, are the cracks starting to show at Chelsea? Obviously, we know everything that's going on at the minute. And then Tuchel's got his own stuff going on in his personal life as well. So is this all culminating to something? This is why I said, especially with Chelsea, third place isn't guaranteed for Chelsea. I don't even know if fourth place is, to be perfectly honest. It's unlikely, but they do need to get some results at the same time. So I think that's the question to ask: are the cracks starting to show? Is this going to start having an effect?
What's that noise?
Yeah, possibly, but I think they've got strength and depth to continue with it. I don't see them having a monumental collapse. I know they've lost a couple of games now, and the likes of Tottenham and Arsenal have slowly clawed their way back up towards them. But I don't think they're going to surrender third place. It will take probably another 2 defeats, and then we're talking of third place up for grabs here. But
no, exactly. I say it's very unlikely, but these are all possible scenarios.
Yeah.
These are all something that could happen. Yes, it's unlikely. But if we've seen cracks in Chelsea before in previous seasons, where they've just started to just. I mean, the season Leicester won the league, they were just non-existent. They were non-existent until they played us, and then
sorry, Oris is going to shoot. So Oris, you big out your show, mate.
Heroin's no good for you, mate.
Yeah, Oris. You can find me on Oris Talks Football on YouTube.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for coming on. All right, sorry about that, guys. Carry on, Luke.
Yeah, I'd say it's very unlikely, but we have seen these things creep in before. Obviously, not to this level in terms of politically and what's going on with the actual structure of the club. But I think it's not worth ruling out, and it's something that's worth paying attention to. I can't see them losing third. But who knows? I would say no one thought Leicester would win the league. So,
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, fair enough. Marvin, we'll go back to Brentford. You got West Ham up next at home. They just came off a 1-1 draw. We'll probably need to play the best players next week. Is that the perfect opportunity to get another win here?
No, I think it's still going to be a difficult game. West Ham, David Moyes has them playing good football, and like. Brentford at home, like we do well since Eriksen's coming. I'll say we have been playing good football. Like I think the only game we've lost with Eriksen is the first game when we lost 2-0 to Newcastle. But
he came on.
Yeah, he came on. And, the game was already done by then. We were 10 men for 80 minutes. But I see this being either a 2-1 West Ham win, as much as I don't want to say it, or a 1-1 draw.
You rate West Ham quite a lot, don't you, Marvin?
Yeah, I think David Moyes is doing a great job there. Like, if United had given him time, and I rate him as a manager as well, because what he's taken West Ham from to where they are now, they're Europa League quarterfinal. Who would have thought that? Like a potential semi-final against Barcelona or Frankfurt, like that's quite a big achievement. And even when Moyes was at Everton, he done a great job there. He took them to Europe as well.
It would have been a better better thing for West Ham if for them to win against Lyon in the first leg had it not been the referee being a total utter cunt in that game. That was that was disastrous from the referee. But
Ollie's got to go. So Ollie, shout out your channel, mate.
Yeah, it's down below. It's DJ Sinclair. So sub to me on there.
Thanks, mate. See you later.
See you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So Chelsea, great result. Brentford now have West Ham. I'll ask you the question. Regardless of the result against West Ham, Marvin, are Brentford now safe, or do they need a few more wins?
I believe we're safe. Yeah. I think 11 points ahead, or 9 points ahead. And
and you got teams behind you as well. That's what you got to remember. When you got more than one team behind you, it means everyone's got to start winning, and that's unlikely.
It's like the teams below us, like for the bottom three, they have to win 4 games out of the remaining 8. They've only won a max 3 games this season. It's not gonna happen. Even if Brentford finish 17th, which I don't think they will, but I believe we're safe with the amount of points we've got at the moment.
I think one more win for Brentford, and I think you'll be safe then, just to be secure. Because you're currently on 33 points. I think another win will take you up to 36. That should really be the safe mark for you to get through.
Luke, I'm going to ask you a question. I know because he played for Tottenham. Eriksen, what a revelation he's been for Brentford. Are you surprised by that?
I am a bit. Obviously, with what happened to him in the Euros, it was surprising, and we didn't know if we'd see him back on a football pitch again. And the fact that he's come back and he is playing very, very well. I mean, he's playing better than he did at Tottenham for the last 2 years he was there. Apparently, there's interest. Whether that's just because of the link or not, I don't know. I would expect to see Brentford try and renew the contract as soon as possible because he's only on a 6-month. So
option of the year, though, I think.
Is it option of the year? Is it?
There's no option of.
I didn't know it. I didn't understand it as that. I knew it was just a 6-month contract.
I thought there was an option.
No, I didn't hear anything of that. I would expect them to try and push that through as quickly as possible in terms of getting a renewal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I expect there to be interest as well at the same time. So he might just consider his options as to what's out there.
I think he'll stay if he gets offered a contract. I think he owes it to Brentford. I think he will give them a full season. I think he will personally. I think he owes it to Brentford. I know that sounds silly, but I think Brentford gave him a chance.
I think it depends. Yeah, it depends on what Brentford are willing to offer him.
Yeah, because he's going to be on. He's going to have to be on 50 grand. So.
Yeah.
I know, but we all can't live like peasants, Graham. He's got to feed his kids.
Yeah, that's it. I wish I was on 50 grand a week. All right. I'll go score prediction in against West Ham, and I'll also do Chelsea against Southampton. I'll start with Southampton versus Chelsea. I'll go with you, Cole, first. Is Chelsea bouncing back here?
They are bouncing back. Southampton have lost 3 of their last 4. I don't see him. With Southampton, they're a strange team. They could have a good run of games, actually play really well, and then they could have a run of games where they could just be absolutely terrible. And right now, they're on that run where they're playing absolutely terrible. So I'm going to say Chelsea win 2-1.
Luke, what do you think the Chelsea score will be?
Just adding on to what Carl said, I seem to expect so much more from Southampton. I don't know if it's because I've seen so many great performances from them to then them only, go the complete opposite way in the next game. It's time they need to get their shit together and say it's coming to the best time to play Chelsea. But on the way things are at the minute, you would expect Chelsea to get a win. I could see Chelsea conceding, but I can also see them getting a couple of goals. So I would go with a 2-1.
Marvin, Chelsea away at Southampton.
Yeah, I see Chelsea bouncing back here, and I see them bouncing back big. I'm going 4-0 Chelsea for this one.
Ooh.
Great one.
Ooh.
I'm going to say one. Yeah.
They need to put in a performance after the last two performances they had, and like, let's be real. Even though they've had those two performances, Chelsea are a top team, and I think they'll have too much for Southampton on the day.
Yeah, one player's been dragging his heels for Chelsea is Timo Werner. He needs to pick it up. He needs to pick it up massively.
How starting from this game? Football? How is he even playing football?
Because he's not used to the faster aspect of the game. Because in the Bundesliga, it's a little bit slower.
Yeah,
and he can get out and he can get into space, wide open spaces a bit better. But in the Premier League, you have to create your own space. And Werner's not that sort of person that can do that sort of thing, unfortunately. It's a shame because they've got a guy in Lukaku who, unfortunately, is performing pretty abysmal as well.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm actually going to go 1-0 Chelsea. I think they will win as well. Clean sweep. We'll go Brentford against West Ham now. Luke, what's your prediction on this one, mate?
It's tough to say. West Ham has sort of been a little bit up and down. I think they put in some good performances, but they've been unfortunate with the results. And for Brentford, it's just, I think the expectations raised so much for Brentford that we expect so much more from them. But I could see Brentford coming away with a draw here, and I'll go for a 1-1.
Carl, what do you reckon the score will be, mate?
Yeah, I'm on the same lines as Luke here. Obviously, West Ham just come off Europa League game on Thursday night, drawing 1-1. Brentford, they're coming off that's their biggest win pretty much in their history. Not beating Chelsea, not beating any team, but you beat Chelsea, beat your West London rivals. That's pretty unique. Are they going to come back crashing down to earth? Probably. Are West Ham going to be tired? Probably. I'm going to say 2-2.
I'm going to say 1-1 like Luke. Marvin, what do you reckon? What's the score? I think you already said it, but go tell us again.
Yeah, it's to me, it's either going to be 1-1 or 2-1 West Ham, as much as it hurts me to say. But yeah.
So fair enough. All right, guys, we're not far off the end of the show. Before we get there, I've got one more question. I do this on the regular live stream. So I want you to give me your guarantee of the weekend. So have a think, and you tell me what you think is guaranteed to happen this weekend. It can be in any game, just one thing that you guarantee to happen. Let's try and make it interesting as possible. So I'll start with Arsenal, with my one. Arsenal are going to win, but both teams are going to score. I think that's definitely going to happen. I'll go to you, Luke. What's the guarantee of the weekend for you?
Yeah, I think it'd be a similar story in the Tottenham Villa game. I can see a Spurs win, but Villa to score.
Marvin, anything you got? What's your guarantee of the weekend?
He's selling tickets.
Watford are going to beat Leeds.
Fair play. Yeah, I like that one. Bit of originality there. I like that. Carl, what's your guarantee of the weekend?
I'm going for the ultimate guarantee here, and that's Granit Xhaka to get carded.
I was debating
that. That was a guarantee.
Oh, come on. That's just obvious.
Before we go, guys, I just want to ask a question. Now, recently on one of my shows, and people are going to disagree, I came out with a statement which has been I've got a few people who back me on it, but a lot of people have disagreed with me, and I get why they disagree with me. I said, and please, if you disagree with me, let me explain first. I said Xavi and Iniesta, for me, are slightly overrated. And I say this, it's just because I'm not saying they're not good players. I'm not saying they're not good players. They are good players. But for me, someone said it earlier, football's all about stats. Now, if you look at their stats, I've got them up somewhere. their stats are very, very average for what everyone says about them. Now, I just want to get everyone's opinion on it, and if you disagree, perfectly fine. But when you think about it, when I mean overrated, I'm not saying they're not good, but for me, they're not as good. They're not world beaters, and they're not players that everyone should be ranking about as much as they do. Now, I'll start with you, Carl, because you look very intrigued by this. Do you disagree with me? I take it you do.
Xavi and Iniesta. Yeah, okay. Stats don't lie, but the eye test doesn't. When you watch Xavi and Iniesta play for Barcelona during probably their golden era, the likes of Messi and Neymar and that sort of thing, they were the two intricate pieces of the midfield that completely ran the show. Messi was scoring the goals for fun and that, but they were running the show left, right, and center. Your score as well. They were two pivotal pieces as well to Spain's European Championship and their World Cup as well, what they won. So as much as you want to say they're very overrated due to their box score, you look at their accolades, what they have won with their team, with their country. I can't really say that they are overrated. Sorry, buddy, but I'm afraid I have to disagree with you.
I'm saying they're overrated because everyone says they're the best. For me, they're not the best midfielders. That's my point.
They're not the best. No, I will say
but
that.
That's
they're not
why
the
they're
best.
overrated
They're not the
for
best.
me because everyone's tossing off about them constantly. And
there's a difference between being overrated and being not the best. And Xavi and Iniesta, they're not the best midfielders to do that sort of thing, but they're not overrated. I don't think they're overrated players. They're good in their own right because of who they played for.
I could take what you're saying.
For their country
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, we sort of are on the same page. But I get what you mean that you don't agree with the way I've said it. But I know what you mean. But I'm not saying they're not good players. And Luke, what's your opinion on it, mate?
I think they're both phenomenal players. I think they dictated the pace of games. I know that they didn't come out with. They didn't stat pad for want of a better term, but they would come up. Particularly Iniesta would come up with goals at crucial times, and he did just run the game. I would take Iniesta over Xavi certainly, just personally, but I don't think. Again, you just explained what you thought in terms of overrated versus the greatest. Then no, they weren't the greatest ever midfielders, but they were certainly
Luke, can I?
Great team. Yeah.
Sorry, Luke, can I just stop you there just quickly? Right, I've just brought something up. Okay, Barcelona's team from 2006 to 2011. Okay, just listen to this team that Barcelona had. Okay, Valdez in goal, a back four of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Marquez, Puyol, Belletti, and a midfield three: Iniesta, Edmilson, and Xavi, and then the front three: Messi, Eto'o, Ronaldinho. That's just disgusting. That's what you see on a FIFA game.
They spent thousands on an ultimate team.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. And now look where they are, indebted in the shit.
Yeah. But no, I think that the thing is as well, if you're arguing against strikers or wingers, it's a different argument because then stats play more of a role. When it comes to midfield, it's very, very different. You have such a different role. Like I say, you're pulling the strings, you're dictating the game. Kante doesn't have the best stats in the world, but we know that he's a fantastic midfielder.
Yeah.
So I think there's just different elements, and because of the position, it's very, very different. I think midfield is one of those things where you can argue either way. You can argue about goals scored or assists or tackles. You can do both. Whereas strikers, obviously, you're going to talk about goals. Wingers, you talk about maybe goals and assists. Defenders, you're going to talk about tackles, clearances, clean sheets, X, Y, Z. Midfield is so very different, and it's for me, an old school proper midfielder should be about dictating the pace of play. They control the game. They pull the strings. They make the passes at the right time. That for me,
100%
is what a midfielder is, and that doesn't necessarily equate to goals, assists, etc. That's just what that is for me.
Yeah, Xavi and Iniesta just knew when to pick pick their passes and pick their spaces. They could actually read the game so well, even at their young, when they were still quite a young age.
I think that's the beauty as well, is you don't have to be this athletic freak to be a fantastic midfielder, because it's just about it's the mind. It's being in the right place at the right time and being able to do those things, and that is just what it's about. I think even if you possess the athletic prowess of say just a freak, doesn't make you a good midfielder, because it is just being in the right place and reading those passing lines and making those passes. That's what makes you a good midfielder. You don't have to be the quickest. Look at Sergio Busquets. Another one. He was slow as fuck.
Yeah, he was slow, but he knew how to pick a pass.
Exactly. And that's just that. I think it's the wrong argument when you look at stats in that scenario.
And Marvin, finally, what's your view on it?
I think those two summed it up perfectly. Like when you look at, when you base stats on a midfielder, I find it unfair, because even if I was playing a midfielder, I could play the perfect pass to a striker. He misses, like I don't get that assist. Is that my fault? What's the stats gonna say? I don't get the assist. But then, like 10 years down the line, I could have potentially set up 100 goals. The striker missed it 100 times. Someone else gets those assists. You'll be looking at the stats. Okay, yeah, you know what? That midfielder played that pass. Like, he could have just closed his eyes, just hoped for the best, passed it to the striker. Yeah, he gets 100 goals. Like, as a midfielder, I'm banking on my striker to, like, finish the job for me that I've started, like that I've thought of. Okay, you know what? Yeah, he's gonna run that way, gonna pass it that way, and then the stats for midfielders. That's why, with Luke said, like, if you're coming up with an argument for a winger and striker, I can understand like the stats, but for a midfielder, it's completely different.
Just on top of that as well, there's another player you could add on to that as well. You say that Xavi and Iniesta are overrated. A lot of people said Paul Scholes was overrated, but he's got exactly the same qualities as what Iniesta and Xavi had. He just knew how to read the game. He knew where to pick the passes up and where to get them out.
So, again, it's a fair point, but if I were to tell you, and before I put this stat out here, I actually don't think this player is better than Xavi and Iniesta. But again, I don't know the exact on the appearances, but Frank Lampard, Xavi and Iniesta they all played around the same amount of league games for their clubs. This is for Chelsea and obviously Barcelona. I think they played 430, 450, and one of them played 500. I think that was Xavi. Now, Lampard scored 147 goals. Xavi scored 58, and Iniesta scored 35. Now, when it comes to the assist, Iniesta only had 80, Lampard was around 95, and Xavi was 116. Iniesta only scored 2 goals in his last 107 appearances for Barcelona. Now, I actually think Xavi is by far a better player. I'm not saying he's not good, and I'm not saying that Iniesta is not good, but when I look at them stats and what I remember of them, I just always think there's that slight overreaction about them because of where they were and what league and what team they played for. Now, people say they played well in 2 Champions League finals, and yes, they did. But Jack Wilshere ran Barcelona Ragged about 10 years ago. So if you're going to say that, let's remember Jack Wilshere.
Yeah, but to be fair, you have loads of energy.
They're not win the World Cup.
Let me finish. Yeah, I'm getting there. They won the World Cup with one of the worst World Cups I ever seen. One of the worst World Cup finals I ever seen, by the way. Go rewatch that World Cup final. It was fucking dire. It was dire. They won it. They won it. And I know they won it.
You can't task Spain with the same brush as England. If we go to the World Cup in November, we go and do exactly the same.
Oh, we probably will do the same, to be fair. No, you're right.
Boring style of game, but it's effective and it works. Unfortunately, that's not how the way some people want. That's how people want to win it, with expansive and sexy and exciting football. Yeah. We don't want to be watching a game for 90 minutes stuck in a bucket of wallpaper paste. We don't want to do that.
And I get that, and I understand people. Again, I just want to clear up. I'm not saying they're not good players. They are good players. I know that. But for me, there's just this overration of like, they're the best centre-mids ever. And for me, the stats don't stack up. They played in Barcelona. They had it all their own way. Now, if you put them stats of Iniesta, and let's say he played for Chelsea for all the time, would he be classed as the greatest midfielder of all time? No, he wouldn't. For me,
I think that argument is different if you're talking about a partnership.
Yeah.
If you're talking about them two together, that's a different argument than them individually.
And would they be as good if they were together? Imagine if Xavi never played with Iniesta.
I can see the argument.
They were both number 8.
I can't see the argument for saying they're the best midfielders ever. I can see an argument for saying they're the best midfield partnership ever. I can see more of that argument.
Maybe, but a lot of people will say they're the best ever, and that I'm completely. And you lot have all said, you've all said not overrated, but at the same time, you've sort of agreed with me in saying that they're not the best ever. But and the stats, and I know stats don't matter everything, but in this day and age, when you really look at a player, you always want to see their stats, and you always want to go, yeah, they were really good, and their stats proved up, and then go, oh, like Eric Cantona was an absolute great player, but when you really look at his stats, you sort of go, oh, is that it? Do you see what I mean? He didn't score that many, and that's my point, and that's what people look at. But yeah, listen,
I'm saying nowadays everything is about stats.
It has to be.
Is about stats. People don't watch the game; they just look at stats, and then they go, "Oh, this player's better than that player." But you need to actually look at the game. You need to see with your own eyes. A player can have an awful game and score a goal, and next thing they're in for man of the match.
Yeah, my wife I might have only lasted 2 minutes, but the wife's happy. You see what I mean? That's a stat. That's not me, obviously. Listen, we could go about this forever, but on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Tuesday, live on my channel, Daddy and the Don, and live on Eagle Eye Football, Richard's channel, we will be discussing this. We'll have a few people on there, and there will be a link in the chat to come join it at any point and have a discussion over this. Me and Richard, Eagle Eye Football, will be talking about my comments, a few people on it. So if you are available and you want to jump on, please jump on and have your input. I do appreciate it. Before we go, one other quick question. I have asked this to Marvin. And Marvin, now, very briefly, all of you, who was the better centre-back? Saeed or John Terry? I'll start with you, Luke.
I have to go JT.
Yeah. And why?
I think he was a fantastic captain. He was willing to put his body on the line. He just commanded the space he was in and the players around him. And although you can argue about, what you think of the man himself, as a footballer, he was absolutely fantastic. And he made Chelsea what they were at the time, I think.
Marvin, I know your answer. Tell me why you think that's Saeed.
Because he's black.
I wish I could be the answer, mate. No, but I think like he was a great defender. Like he's won everything. He was at Chelsea. He joined Chelsea when he was 30.
30. I think he was 30 when he 30. I think just say he was 30.
Yeah, like pretty much like in his prime, coming towards the end of his prime. Like before he joined Chelsea, he's pretty much won everything. Like I would say a lot of these defenders today, they probably look to him like to learn how to defend. Like even John Terry himself will probably say the same thing. Like that Desai is probably one of his idols in defending.
Carl, interesting to see what you say here.
I'll probably say John Terry. Probably exactly the same reasons that Luke's just said. Oh, fantastic leader. Commands his box, commands his men where they need to go, how to defend, this, that, and the other. And yeah, he's probably one of the best centre halves that England have had in quite some time.
I will say I've asked about 30 to 40 people, and this was Hanif. Hanif said this in a chat, and then Hanif said Terry wouldn't lace Desai's boots. Again, I disagree with that. But apart from Hanif, Marvin, and one other guy, about 30 odd people have said Terry. I think Desai was a very good player. I'm not saying he wasn't, but for me, Terry's one of the best centre backs that I've ever seen, and English best centre back, and one of the best in the last 20 years. And a lot of people will use the argument, yeah, but Desai won the World Cup. Take Desai, put John Terry there. France still would have won that World Cup. Makes no difference. And I know it's hindsight and it's easy to say that, but Terry wouldn't have been the reason they wouldn't have won it. And I'm not taking away from Desai. He's a good player. But
as a Spurs fan, I get very angry when trophies into it.
Yeah.
As a player.
Yeah, it's not a comparison for me. I think that's an unfair. That's like when people compare Drogba with Henry. It's not a fair comparison. apart from Chelsea fans, everyone's going to say Henry because he was a better player. Now, you ask majority of Chelsea fans, they'll tell you John Terry because they'll base it on how they play for Chelsea. And I get a few of the older people might say Desailly, but just because he won the World Cup doesn't mean... And there are a lot of people... Who is the better defender? The better defender was John Terry. He was a better defender. He was a complete wanker. He's a wanker. He can't keep it in his trousers. He's a bit of a dick. But I'm looking at him as a footballer, and he was a good footballer if you like him or not. He was. And for me, that, you know... And everyone has their opinion. Mark Hill, one of the pundits on this show, he thinks Van Dijk's overrated. Does anyone think Van Dijk's overrated here?
No, I think Van Dijk's fantastic.
Do you think Van Dijk's overrated, Cole?
Nah, no. I don't think Van Dijk's overrated, no.
And Marvin, do you think he's overrated?
Oh, no chance.
So he has an opinion that I don't agree with. And obviously Hanif says about that seat, and a lot of people disagree with me. It's all about opinions in this and all that. And no one's ever right. But, you know, I don't know. I that's something that we'll go for another day. But again, I'll just remind everyone, if you want to see the chat between me and Rich and a few people, if you want to come on, jump on this Tuesday, 7 p.m. I'm sure it's going to be spicy at some point. But yeah, that's it for today's show, guys. I really appreciate it. I'll go around now and just shout out yourself and where the people can find you. I'll start with you, Marvin.
You find me on Daddy on the Don Sports.
Thanks, mate. Good lads.
On the Brentford ticket, obviously.
Go on, Luke.
You'll find me here as well. That's it. All down.
Nowhere else.
All down. That's it.
Big up your channel, Carl. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at TFIBK20. My channel has gone into a little bit of a relapse at the minute in time, but I will be on a different show in the next weeks, and I will be changing my Twitter profile and everything else. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, big thanks for coming on, Carl. First time on the channel and on the live stream, so I appreciate that. Yeah, that's it for today's show, guys. I'll be back maybe next week or the week after with another live. Currently on our channel, Daddy and the Don, we got loads of shorts of the Premier League predictions. So if you're not seeing them, have a look. And again, thanks for everyone coming on. Arsenal are going to win. Man United and Tottenham are going to lose. Let's fucking hope so, because Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. Stop smiling, you prick. Thank you, everyone. See you later.
See ya.
Fuck you.